Hey there, so today we have another review. All right, this might be the final shot. I actually reviewed this super early on, so maybe I'll post a link to it. Like literally one of the first videos ever posted. And then I had it many years ago, right after I moved down. It was like 4 months old, no good. And then I just reviewed this like maybe a month ago, and it was fresh. Still did not like it, didn't seem fresh to me. This is my last shot. So I found it again, and thankfully, actually, it's in 6-packs now. So we'll have it, obviously, 6-packs, but it came down here in 6-packs. Last drop was only 16-ounce 4-packs. More economical for me, I'd rather review a 12-ounce can and review more for you guys, right? This was canned. Wow, that is dumb fresh. Yes, sir. That is canned 3 weeks ago. Yeah, not even 4 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. So that's really good. Because I remember when I reviewed this, it was like months old. Or sorry, the first time I reviewed it here in Florida was like 4 months old, and then I got it a couple months old. That's 3 weeks old. So if this is no good, I'm never reviewing this guy again. You guys don't know, it's a pretty important beer. Obviously, some of the classic American pale ales are going to be, well, I guess it's like a platonic ideal, or like, OG would be something like, sorry, the kids are eating. Would be obviously the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but then also something like Dale's Pale Ale. This is a little bit more updated. This is 2009, so 15 years in the craft beer. Still, 2009 is like, not as old as Sierra Nevada, which is like decades and decades and decades. So obviously not a neo Pale Ale either. Like obviously today's Pale Ales are even leaner, cleaner, lighter, hazy a lot of the times, right? Yeah, they don't come in this color. So what was it, like 5.2? Excuse me. Some allergies going on. How does a can not have the ABV? I believe it's like 5.5 or 5.2, something like that. Anyway, beer comes in a wonderful kind of medium deep gold color. Nice, decent looking head on that. Not exploding out of the glass, but smells pretty hoppy. Like, yeah, got a little bit of this kind of like a piney, resiny dank thing in the back. A little bit of light toasted bready malts. Yeah, a little bit of freshness in there, so definitely like grassy. That's one thing I always got off this beer, like just fresh cut grass, lawnmower. Yeah, a little bit of floral action in there too. Not necessarily too fruity. Cheers. I don't even have that cold, so perfect. Like it's actually as expressive as it'll get. This is probably what I would survey. This is probably what I want the beer at the end of the glass to be, or end of the can to be, or what I'd naturally serve like an imperial stout at. So this, I just got home, threw it in the freezer, didn't have too much time. This beer is probably at like 40, 50 degrees. Yeah, for sure. Shouting out to the Hop Butcher, another Chicagoland brewery. Shout out the glass, so I picked that one up. But anyway, on the palate, vastly better. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the beer. But it's still generally very characterfulless. Lacking in character. Let's just do that. Lacking in character. It's quite lacking in character. Wow. On the palate, follows floral, very grassy, long, dry, very bitter for a pale ale. Lean too. That crystal malt character that you get from Dale's Pale Ale, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is definitely not there. So obviously this is a much updated recipe despite being 15 years old. It is decades younger than Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and then for sure, like at least, years younger than Dale's Pale Ale. But yeah, that's what American Pale Ale tastes like, at least more modern. Pull back on the malt, you get a little bit of this kind of biscuit, light toast tone, but not that like crystal malt, like crunchy, light caramel flavor. Like there's a deep caramelness to Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and like Torpedo too. I almost call it like if you could sugarcoat pine needles, right? Like there's a caramelized sugariness to it. This lacks that. It's leaner, drier, slightly updated hop profile, but definitely not modern, right? Like it's not fruity in any sense. It relies on floral, grass, lingering pine, light biscuit, light toasted breadiness, long, dry, bitter. It's a really nice and crushable beer, but for me, I wish it was just more expressive. Like, I wish it exploded a little bit more. Like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, like noticeably for me, has that just classic kind of like cascade jump to it. Like it pops of this melding of like pine and hops and piney hops and that kind of like crystal malt to it. Here, it's quite noticeably hoppy. It has that. You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's growing on me. Okay, so you know what this is? This is like I could sort of see why this is a crusher. I think analogous beer would be like Bell's Two Hearted, which people love. It's a very drinkable beer, but like for me, like I like hoppy beers that have that like yin and yang, where it's like very hoppy and like like it can blow your head off if you're gonna like pour it into a nice teku or a nice glass and go like this. You can blow your hop head off. But then also with this beer specifically, it does have the latter part where you can just go like this. Have a long, dry beer, expressively hoppy, super drinkable. It's definitely a beer you can enjoy and just not quite have to think about, which is quite nice. Like it's nice to have hoppy beers that are not always thinking beers. Well, sometimes like, hoppy beers can be quite expressive and not really quite crushable, right? They're beers that you might want to have like 6, 8, 10 ounces of, maybe 12 ounces of, and maybe not want to have a second one because they just hit you over the head and they're very impression forward, but not necessarily something you want multiples of or something you want a lot of volume of. This is an easy volume beer. Like I could easily think of like, hey man, somebody brought over a 6-pack of this and I would easily share 3 and not even think about it. Just like, you just crack and not think like. And I guess that's sort of why this beer sort of was very favorable to a lot of people. Another beer sort of reminds me of is like almost something like a what's the last one I reviewed? Excuse me. Like maybe like a bigger version like Founders All Day. Like if you find Founders All Day a little bit watery, and I generally find Session IPAs with water, I for sure would rather go pale ale here than like Session IPA, because you're only losing about like 1 ABV ish, or maybe even like 0.5. Like it's like it might even be less than 1 full point of ABV. But this, if you listen to the whole, I guess you listen to the whole review if you're at this point. I never said the word watery. Versus like a Session IPA, you sort of get that like, all right, for sure I'm drinking a Session IPA. You get none of that pale ale / IPA character. It just tastes very watered down. Here it's, dancing with that dry, long bitterness edge of IPA. It's obviously pale ale. Doesn't really taste watery. All right. So I guess in the end, this might be the last time I'm like seeking this out. Unless you like, want me to review it next year or sometime soon. It's a really nice, well-built beer. For me, I'm just a little bit spoiled. I feel like I want a little bit more expressive character. I want to say very likely, or very, very likely, I would definitely, or very, very likely, I would definitely, very, very likely I would choose Sierra Nevada Pale Ale or Dale's Pale Ale over this. But it's very tasty. It's very tasty. I'm glad, finally, after, this is review number 3 in Florida after this many years, finally getting it this fresh, 3 weeks fresh, very good. Again, I want more impression, but the high drinkability is very incredible. As it grows on me, they're probably right. There's this little bit of like tropical mango papaya that's hidden in this beer. And that's cool about this beer because like I bet when it's cold, you don't really notice it. But now I already have it quite warmed up and there's a little bit of hint of fruitiness. So now I'm getting a little bit more impression going on. Let's go with it's like right around 90. Like I'm trying to figure out, like, does it go up or down or? Let's just go with a solid 90. I think a really, really good version of Pale Ale can easily get, AA plus, blah, blah. Probably 8, my book probably AA plus. Yeah, somewhere around there. This is a solid 90, an A minus. I'm really happy to finally have it at a good place. And post in comments below. What do you think about this beer? Daisy Cutter from Hackfaker. Cheers, later.